Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's Reading the Red this Monday morning. Bright and sunny. Still, the rain is coming, apparently. Matthew 11, verse 23. Jesus continuing to present, as it were, the two considerations to these two cities who had really not received the message of the gospel particularly well, and Jesus is wanting to impress them and say to them, things are not good for you because you have rejected the gospel. You have not been a receptor of the gospel, but a rejecter of the gospel. And he goes on in this 23 verse and says to the Capernaums, he says, and you, Capernaum, will not be exalted to heaven, will you? That's a question. You will descend to Hades. For if the miracles had occurred in Sodom, which occurred in you, it would have remained to this day. So here Jesus is saying, historically, Sodom had been kind of judged because of the badness of its nature. And Jesus is saying to the Capernaums, he's saying, if what took place here in Capernaum had taken place in Sodom, then they would have repented of all of their evil deeds. But these things have taken place in you, Capernaum, and you haven't repented. And then he kind of almost uses sort of a play on word, a bit sarcastically. And he says, will you go to heaven? Will you rise up to heaven? I say, in effect, he says, you're not going to heaven. No, you're not going to heaven because you rejected the gospel. And the reality of the rejecting of the gospel bears implications. We was out on the streets on Saturday with the cross. My friend Lindsay came and we had a great weekend being blessed and blessing the people of Wareham. We was out there telling them, sharing with them, showing them, singing to them the revelations of the gospel. And there were some really great positive inspirations. But there were some who had hard hearts who said, we don't want to know, we're not interested. Some were quite rude and abusive, offensive. They rejected. And the people who reject the gospel may well be now live and have the freedom to reject the gospel. But the implications of rejecting the gospel bears upon itself a responsibility. And my friend Lindsay was saying how in church yesterday, how Jesus really is becoming a dirty word. Saying Jesus is an offensive word now to people in our society. And it's true, whether it's embarrassment or fear, or whether it's because it represents something that cuts across where society is. One thing I know is the more we get led into darkness, the more the darkness takes control. And we know that we're heading towards dark times. We can look around us and we can see darkness all around us. And it's because we give way to light and we let darkness take control. And the Lord says to Capernaum, because they were letting the light being diminished by rejecting the opportunity to receive the gospel when Jesus turned up on that occasion. And he turns around and says to them, will you go to heaven? Are you going to heaven, Capernaum? I say to you, you're not going to heaven, because if what took place in Capernaum had taken place in Sodom, then they would have repented long ago. But what about you? What are you going to do? And what about your friends and your neighbours? What are they going to do? Brothers and sisters, Jesus has given Christians a message to proclaim the gospel. Will you be a proclaimer of the gospel? Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bless you.